Hello guys, so for today we are going to be doing cloud security with AWS identity and access management. So we are going to be following three steps. We'll begin by creating two instances, that's EC2 instances. That's one for the development instance and one for the production instance. So this one will contain the development environment and this one will contain the production or deployment environment. Now after that we are going to be creating a policy. That's policies like their rules that you give who can do what with their particular AWS resource. For example, you can give different rules to the development team or the testing or deployment team. After that, we are going to create the users to assign this policy or rules to. So you are assigning, you have the admin or you have the develop. If you have a development team, you assign a particular policy. Maybe you can assign them a policy or a security rule in such a way that they have access only to the deployment instance, so that they can't push their code directly into the or test their code and push it directly to the production instance. So for the first part of this tutorial, we're going to be creating two EC2 instances. That's one for the deployment environment and another for the development environment. So when you go to your EC2 dashboard, you go to launch instances. So the first instance that we're going to be launching is the instance for the development instance. So you can choose the instance name. Maybe we'll say development. So we'll leave for the AMI, that's the Amazon machine image, we'll leave it at Amazon Linux. You use the free type eligible, and also leave it at the instance type, you leave it at T2 micro. Now for the key pair, you can either choose to create a key pair or you can use a previous one. Or you can decide not to use a key pair. For this tutorial, we are not going to use a key pair. We are going to take proceed without a key pair. This is not normally recommended though, so for security reasons. But for the tutorial, we are going to proceed without a key pair. Now I'm going to add additional tags to indicate the particular instance. So you take add additional tags. So you take add tag, and here you can put environment. So I already have some names, that's why it's popping up that environment. So you take environment, and here you take development. Now you leave everything, all other settings like as it is, and you take launch instance. So it successfully launched instance. So now we're going to be creating the second instance. That's for the production. That's the production instance. So take launch instance. And you create the tags. Now you leave all the other settings as it is, then you also choose proceed without key pair, and you take launch instance. So now if you go back to instances and you refresh, you will notice that we have two instances running. That's production instance and development instance. So for the next step, we are going to be creating the policy using the identity and access management service from AWS. Now for the next step, we are going to be we're going to be setting up permission policies. So we'll head over to our identity and access management console. That's IMI. So after pasting that JSON file and clicking next, you have to create a policy name and a description, which is optional. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to create the policy's name, and leave everything that I review, and you take create policy. So our policy has been created successfully. So for this steps, what we are going to be doing is creating an account alias. Now, what's an account alias? An account alias is a friendly name for your AWS account that you can use instead of your account ID to sign into your account console. So it's like you are creating an easier access to your account. So you go back to your identity access management console, and you go under account alias and you take create. Now you have to give your preferred alias. So you can use, for example, you can use alias and you take create alias. So now our alias have been successfully created. So if you come under the account alias, you see sign in URL for your identity access management users in this account. That's the URL, that's the link. Now, so after creating our EC2 instances and our policy, we're going to be creating an identity and access management user group to assign that policy to. So we'll go back to our dashboard, and you click on user groups. Now you take create group, and you can give the group name. Now we have to assign the policy for this group. Now you remember that we created a policy before. You can see decide to attach different policies here using this. So we'll search for that policy that we created. This is our policy, dev environment policy, and we take create user group. Now our group has been created, and the policy has been assigned to this particular group. So after that, we are going to create now the users and assign them to that particular group. So you go under create users. So you take create user and username. You can say development team. So for this, we are going to be taking, I want to create an IAM user, and you allow it on auto generate password, and you choose user must create. Yeah, you have to uncheck user must create a new password at the next sign in. You uncheck and you take next. Now you have to assign the group to which, instead of assigning policies that you have created, you just assign it to that particular group that you have given that those policies to. That's the permissions to if to whatever they can do and whatever they can, or what they can't do. So for this, we are going to take the development group. You click on next and you take create user. Now our user has been created. As you can see now, this is the console, the URL, where you just give this URL to that particular team, that's the development team, and you give them this their username and their password, so they can't have access to the admin panel, the admin AWS console. So they can, you just give them this link so that they can easily just log in via this link, so that they have strict permissions and policies. For example, since it's a development team, they can only have access to the development instance, and they can't easily to create an instance. So you take the link and you go to your incognito browser and you load that link. So after using that link, you go and copy the username and the password. So here is the username. Go back to incognito. Paste the username and the password. You take sign in. Now, after you have logged in via that link to that particular, using the password and the username for that particular development team, you see the different instances. That we have two instances here that are running, that's production instance and development instance. So if you want to test to see if the policies are working, then you assign to this particular user group. If they are working, you check development and you go to actions. You go manage instance state. So now we are going to try to stop this instance and see if it's going to work. So you take stop instance, change state. So now we're going to see an error message coming, showing on top of your screen. Fail to stop the instance with this particular instance name. So you are not authorized to perform this operation, showing our policies for that particular development team. Say development team is not authorized to perform EC2 stop instance on this resource. So the development team don't have that authorization, that permission to stop this particular instance. So we are going to go back and try to see if we can stop this instance with our admin account. So you go to instances. Now go back to that development and you choose action and you take manage instance. You choose stop. Now you see, since this is the admin, the creator of that particular group, they have the privilege to be able to stop this instance. As you can see, you have successfully initiated stopping of that particular instance. So that's how you create a cloud security with AWS identity and access management. So in this tutorial we have discussed how you create the two EC2 instances, how you create a policy either using the visual part with the JSON format, and how you create the user group and the user and the AMI user.